Hi, it's Becky Brush. This is reading discussion number 4. And first thing up is going to be Teaching and Taboo, chapters 8 and 9. Just a couple things. The first thing that I really want to say is that it's talking about creative writing. And I'm a big proponent of creative writing. You find out a lot about yourself, about what's on your mind, your subconscious when you do creative writing. And it said a lot of different stuff in the chapter that really spoke about that. One of the things I liked was the very act of creative writing is an extension of storytelling, songs, and language play that goes back to the beginning of human history. It only became creative writing when the technology of writing was invented. Now that's awesome because storytelling is part of human history. We love to tell stories. That's how we relate to each other. That's how we relate our history. It's just a lot of neat things. Next, creative writing sets out to make the familiar strange, calling on people to think in new ways about the world and their endeavors. This is our common story, our collective sanity inscribed. Well, that's a fancy way of saying this is how we all communicate. This is how we deal with each other. But it's true. Creative writing is based on the premise that individual and community experiences are valid and worthy of exploration. This is one I actually really like. It reminds me of the Bible. Honestly, those stories were passed down for years and years and years and years before they were ever written down, and then a long time after that before they were collected and put into one book, and yet it's endured, which shows that it's important. Our history is important no matter what the history is, and even the creative writing and the Bible aren't really the same. It does show that the writing we put down does affect us, and it does move other generations. Chapter 9, Voyage to the Unknown. I like this part about teaching, that the great teachers move their students into thinking for themselves, awakening in them an awareness, igniting their imaginations, and encouraging them to live a wild impossibility, spurring them to go further and further. And then also, the other one I really like was Teaching and Taboo involves seeing students as whole human beings with hearts and minds, bodies and spirits that must somehow be taken into account. That's lovely, because honestly, we're not just teaching a kid, we're actually teaching everything. We're teaching the whole body. And kids relate to things in ways that we can't imagine because they've had experiences that we can't imagine. So let's see. We must provide for opportunities for students to do and make and become valuable and valued in their various communities. This is important because kids don't feel valuable. They don't get that from their communities because people aren't like they used to be. You don't necessarily know who your neighbors are. You don't know, you might see them as you're pulling into your garage, but most people don't really have a whole sense of community, really get together and know what's going on. And therefore, they don't know that they're important to other people. And as children, a lot of times they're relegated to not knowing. They haven't experienced anything, so you don't know. And that's just not true. And it's kind of sad. So this is true that we need to provide opportunities for them to understand that they are valuable. They have worth. And then the last one for this book was problem posing and question asking and interrogating the universe is a guaranteed pathway into the taboo. In the other class, we're talking about the different things that teaching is headed to and taking out the ability to form an opinion, teaching only the facts. And it reminds me of that because when I was going to school, we were taught to question. We were taught to be respectful about it, but we were taught to question. And I think that's a big difference with kids today is that I don't think those reins are quite the same. They're told to question, but they're not taught about respect. Or they're told to be respectful and not taught to question. There's no middle ground. There's not both of them taught simultaneously. And so you get these people who are struggling within themselves, trying to find themselves, but they don't know how to go about it. Next book, Classroom Management, Chapter 8. It's basically covering everything that went on in the book. Basically, it was to help teachers become good at effective classroom management, to help develop some skills, making sure that the environment is good academically, but also for that social and emotional learning that students need to do. So there's a lot of stuff that they recovered, the teaching context, physical design, rules and routines, relationships, engaging instruction, discipline, all of that stuff. And that's good. I got a lot of this book, and I didn't think I was going to. So then, let's see here. And then, what should I do is the last book. Chapter, got the pages mixed up in my notes. Chapter 6, what should I do? This is the last part of this. I think that one of the things that hit me was most of what teachers learn, they learn from experience. They base it on what happens in the classroom, talking to colleagues. Now, it's true. Because even though I've got a lot of information that I got in classroom and everything, I remember being in class and what I liked, what I didn't like, why I wanted to become a teacher. Because my teachers bored me out of my skull. It was just terrible. It was scientific facts here and there and everywhere, and nothing really put our hands on and get into. And I don't want to do that. There's so many neat things in science that I think they really could learn to love if they were engaged in it. And so my experience is really what spurred me on, and it's how I've learned. Teachers who approach their teaching with an inquiry stance are accustomed to asking questions that connect their actions with the consequences for their students. This is important. Basically, if we're not asking the right questions, they're not going to ask the right questions. We're not going to get the right answers or look for the right answers in the right places. So I think it's important to remember to be that questioning person, to show them that it's okay. And even though the book didn't talk about it right here, I think it's also okay that you can show them it's okay to question something. It's okay to come up with a wrong answer. It's okay not to be able to come up with an answer, but still keep looking. Kids are so used to that instant gratification that I don't think they oftentimes take the time to really delve in deeply. They want a very superficial, very quick answer. So I think that's also part of what needs to be taught with inquiry. And then the last thing for this one is that an important premise about learning from experience is that teachers can learn not only from their own experiences, but also from the experiences of others. And that's true. You listen to other people's stories, you listen to colleagues' stories, you listen to parents' stories, you listen to kids' stories. And when you listen to what's going on, it shapes how you want to deal in your own classroom. So these things are all things that I want to implement, how I want to change. I'm really going to focus my efforts when I'm in my own classroom. All right. Thank you very much.